I found out my boyfriend was live streaming my brain surgery when a stranger commented, "Hope she survives this one too," on his Instagram. This one too. Meaning he'd been broadcasting my seizures, my breakdowns, my most vulnerable moments to 50,000 followers I never knew existed. 50,000 strangers watching me die in real time while I thought only my family knew I was sick. He made $200,000 from my dying brain while I was selling my car to pay for treatment. $200,000. That's 4 years of my salary before I got sick. Want to know the worst part? He was already planning my funeral content. I found the folder on his laptop. Sophie's Final Days Content Strategy. Because while I was fighting to live, he was preparing to monetize my death. If you think you know betrayal, if you've ever wondered how low someone can go for money, or if you're fighting illness while trusting someone with your life, listen to what Jake did with my tumor. Because while I was losing my mind, literally, he was building his influencer career on my tragedy. My name is Sophie Martinez. I'm 26, and before my brain tried to kill me, I had everything figured out. Graphic designer at a trendy Austin startup, the kind where they have cold brew on tap and everyone pretends 60-hour weeks are normal. Vintage apartment in South Congress with exposed brick and string lights, the kind you see in lifestyle blogs. Boyfriend who was going to propose any day now, according to all our friends. They'd whisper about ring shopping when they thought I couldn't hear. I'd already picked out my wedding dress in my head. Simple, bohemian, nothing fancy. Jake was everything I thought I wanted. 6'2", man bun before it was cringe, photographer with that tortured artist vibe that makes you think you can fix him. Part-time influencer with about 3,000 followers, always talking about his big break coming, always one viral post away from fame. We met at a coffee shop where I was designing and he was editing. He asked about my work. I asked about his camera. Classic Austin love story, the kind they write songs about. He moved in after 6 months. Too fast, everyone said. But when you know, right? Wrong. I supported us mostly while he built his photography business. 70% of our rent came from my account. But love doesn't count percentages, I told myself. But here's what you need to understand. I wasn't stupid. I had an IQ of 142, graduated summa cum laude, could code in 5 languages. I just believed in love more than logic. Believed when he said he'd take care of me when he made it big. "You're my muse," he'd say, taking candid photos of me working. I thought it was romantic. I didn't know he was already practicing turning me into content. I loved that he was creative, ambitious. When his photography gigs were slow, I'd pay rent without mentioning it. Investment in our future, I'd say, transferring another $1,000 while he complained about creative blocks. He'd kiss my forehead and promise that when he made it big, when his art was recognized, he'd take care of everything. Buy us a house in the hills, travel the world, have beautiful artistic babies who'd inherit his eye for beauty and my brain for logic. God, I was so naive. The headaches started subtly in January 2024, just pressure behind my eyes during long design sessions. Nothing Advil couldn't fix, I thought. I blamed the screens, bought blue light glasses that made me look like a hipster librarian, kept working. But by February they were different. Sharp, stabbing pain that made me see colors that shouldn't exist. Purple sounds, yellow feelings, synesthesia, but wrong. All wrong. Have you ever felt your brain rebelling against you? Not just a headache, your actual brain declaring war. First seizure happened during a client presentation. February 28th, 2024, 2:47 p.m. I know the exact time because Jake documented it. I was explaining logo concepts, pointing at my laptop screen, when my right hand started moving on its own, drawing circles on my iPad. Perfect circles, over and over, like my hand was possessed. The client thought it was performance art at first. Austin, you know? Then nothing. Black. I woke up in an ambulance with Jake crying, holding my hand with one hand, filming with his phone in the other. "For memories?" he said, when I asked why he was recording while I was strapped to a gurney. "So we can look back when you're better." He posted that video 6 months later with the caption, "The day our lives changed forever. 800,000 views." The ER did a CT scan. The tech's face changed when she saw the screen. That's never good. "Mass in my left temporal lobe, size of a walnut," the doctor said. "But walnuts don't kill you." The doctor, young resident who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, said the word tumor. And Jake immediately asked if it was cancer. Not, "Will she be okay?" Not, "What are our options?" Not even, "How long has this been growing?" But is it cancer? I should have noticed the difference. Should have heard the opportunity in his voice, not concern. He was already calculating viral potential. Cancer performs better than benign tumors on social media. He told someone that later in a DM I found. Glioblastoma, grade 4. "The worst kind," the doctor said, then tried to backtrack. "The kind that kills most people within 15 months. The kind that young people aren't supposed to get, but somehow I did. Lucky me, right? The kind that would make a compelling story for social media, though I didn't know he was thinking that yet." He was already Googling girlfriend cancer content in the waiting room while I was getting my MRI. I know because I checked his search history later. Want to know something sick? The first thing he did after my diagnosis wasn't call my parents or research treatments. It was buy the domain sophiesfight.com. Jake became obsessed with documenting everything immediately. Not gradually, immediately, like a switch flipped. Every doctor's appointment became a photo shoot. Every test needed multiple angles. Every breakdown required perfect lighting. "We need records for insurance," he'd say. Phone always out, always recording, always in my face when I just wanted to cry in peace. He bought a ring light for my hospital room. A ring light. For better quality breakdowns. He created an Instagram account, Sophie's Fight, while I was still sedated from my first seizure. "To keep family updated," he said. I was too sick to manage it, too grateful he was handling the communication, to question why he needed a professional bio and branded hashtags. My parents lived in Portland, his in Miami, so social media updates made sense, I thought. What didn't make sense was the professional photography setup he created in our apartment. Backdrop, lighting, multiple cameras. "Documentation," he said. But listen to this. He was DMing other medical influencers for tips before I even knew my treatment plan. "Hey, my GF just got diagnosed with brain cancer. Any monetization advice?" That's a real message he sent. The surgery was scheduled for March 15th. The IDs of March, how fitting. Craniotomy to remove what they could reach. 7 hours, they said, maybe more depending on what they found. Jake asked about filming policies before he asked about survival rates. Let that sink in. The surgeon, this brilliant woman who was about to save my life, said absolutely not in the OR. Patient privacy, sterile field, basic human decency. But Jake had already charmed a surgical nurse named Bradley into live streaming from the observation room, slipped him $500 to break protocol. I found the Venmo transaction later, labeled it consultation fee. I found out about the live stream months later through a Reddit thread. Someone had screen recorded it while I was having my skull opened, while they were cutting into my brain. Jake was providing commentary to viewers. "They're going in now, guys. This is the critical moment. The surgeon is approaching the tumor. Remember to hit that donate button. Sophie's recovery depends on it." 2,000 people watched them crack my skull in real time. He charged $50 for VIP access to the full surgery footage. Donate button, super chat, membership tiers. He'd monetized my brain surgery like it was a gaming stream, created donation goals. $1,000 and I'll share the post-op photos. $5,000 for exclusive recovery room footage. The tumor was partially removed, too entangled with critical areas for complete resection, wrapped around blood vessels like ivy on a tree. I woke up with aphasia, couldn't find words for simple objects. The cup was the drinking circle. The nurse was the helping lady. My mother was the crying one. Jake filmed everything. Me calling a cup the drinking circle got 47,000 views in 3 hours. He added captions making fun of my confusion. Sophie's brain is buffering while I was literally brain damaged. Here's what nobody tells you about brain surgery. You can feel your thoughts misfiring, like watching a GPS recalculate over and over, but never finding the route. Radiation started immediately. Daily treatments that burned my scalp, made my hair fall out in clumps, made me vomit blood. He photographed that too. Day 12. Sophie's really struggling today, family. Keep those prayers and donations coming. Link in bio for our GoFundMe. He had professional photographers come to my radiation appointments, hired them off Craigslist to get authentic angles of my suffering. But here's what I didn't know, what makes me sick to think about. The GoFundMe he ran showed a goal of $500,000 for my treatment. He'd raised $200,000 by April. My bank account never saw a cent. When I asked about medical bills, he said insurance was covering most of it, not to worry, focus on healing. He was handling everything. Meanwhile, I was rationing medications because I couldn't afford refills. Skipping doses of anti-seizure meds that cost $400 a month. Having seizures on camera that Jake would edit with dramatic music and upload within hours. Adobe Premiere Pro running while I was convulsing. He'd add slow motion to the worst parts, zoom in on my face during the most painful moments. Sophie's scariest seizure yet. Emotional. Gone wrong. 2.3 million views. Ad revenue approximately $8,000. He bought a new camera that week. Red digital cinema camera, $15,000, because my suffering needed to be in 4K. He told me it was a rental. Want to know how I know exactly how much he made? He kept spreadsheets, detailed profit-loss statements for my illness, had me listed as talent in his business expenses. May 2024, my condition worsened. The radiation wasn't shrinking the tumor. If anything, it was growing. Chemotherapy was the next option. Temozolomide, the gold standard for glioblastoma, poison that might kill the cancer before it killed me. But insurance denied coverage. Experimental for your age group, they said, like cancer cares about age demographics. Jake said he'd handle the appeal. Instead, he sold my story to Daily Mail without telling me. My girlfriend's brain tumor is killing our dreams. Exclusive interview I never gave. Photos from my phone I never approved. Medical details that were supposed to be protected by HIPAA. He gave them my brain scans. My actual brain scans. Sold pictures of the inside of my skull to tabloids. They paid him $15,000 for exclusivity. He told me we got a $2,000 donation from a generous follower, kept $13,000 while I was borrowing money from my parents for groceries. The chemotherapy made me lose time, not just forget things, completely lose hours, sometimes days. Temporal lobe damage, the doctors said. I'd wake up not knowing where I was, when it was, who I was. Jake filmed these episodes, calling them Sophie's Lost Days, created a whole series around my confusion. Merch. He made merch. T-shirts with my confused face saying 404 brain not found. Who does that? One video shows me asking him over and over who he is, crying, terrified, begging for my mum. He posted it with the caption, "The tumor is stealing her memories of our love, 1.8 million views." Comments poured in about what a devoted boyfriend he was, how strong, how caring. They made fan edits of him taking care of me. But watch that video carefully. Now that I've seen it with clear eyes, you can see him directing me. Ask me again who I am, babe. The viewers need to see how bad it is. Can you cry a little more? Really sell the confusion? Coaching my confusion for content. Directing my deterioration like a movie. Do you understand what I'm saying? He was directing my brain damage for better engagement. The worst betrayal happened in June. Rock Bottom has a basement, apparently. I had a severe seizure that required hospitalization. Status epilepticus. Seizures that don't stop. My brain stuck in an electrical storm. While I was unconscious, actively dying, Jake went live on Instagram. 3-hour live stream of me in the ICU, machines beeping, occasionally convulsing, foam coming from my mouth. The stream title, Sophie Might Not Make It, Pray With Me Live. Sophie's Fight. Brain Tumor Warrior. Viewers could pay to have their messages read aloud. Sarah B. donated $50 and says, "Praying for Sophie." Mike sent $100. "Stay strong, Jake." He made $12,000 that night while I fought for my life. $12,000 in 3 hours. More than I made in a month before I got sick. He used donated money to order sushi delivery to the hospital. 8 California rolls while I was on a ventilator 10 feet away. A nurse, horrified, eventually shut it down. Threatened to call security, file a complaint with the board. Jake played victim, said he was grieving, needed support from his community. The hospital banned him from filming, but he snuck footage anyway. Hidden cameras in flower bouquets. Pretended to FaceTime his mom while recording me. I found out everything on July 4th, 2024. Independence Day, ironically. The day I got my freedom back. Jake was at a photography gig, wedding in Wimberley, celebrating someone else's love while mine was a lie. I was having a good day, rare now, neurons firing properly for once. Decided to surprise him by editing some of his photos. Opened his laptop, looking for his portfolio. His password was still my birthday. The irony. Found a folder labeled Sophie Content Strategy. My name. Content. Strategy. 3 words that destroyed everything. Spreadsheets. Revenue tracking down to the penny. Content calendar planning my seizures like social media posts. He'd figured out I had more seizures on Thursdays. Planned live streams accordingly. Monday, treatment update, sympathy engagement. Wednesday, emotional breakdown, high shares. Friday, inspiration post, brand partnerships. He'd partnered with brands, wellness companies sending supplements I never took because he sold them. He was an affiliate for a medical equipment company, got commission every time someone bought something through his links. Email chains with tabloid journalists bidding on exclusive content. TMZ offered $30,000 for deathbed footage if it comes to that. He responded, "Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. For me to die." Screenshots of him messaging other influencers about collaboration opportunities using my illness. "Her tumor is super photogenic," he wrote. "The scar is actually aesthetic. Great for thumbnails." Called my suffering top-tier content. Ranked my seizures by entertainment value. Bank statements showing $200,000 in income from GoFundMe, ad revenue, sponsorships, media deals. Separate account I never knew existed at a bank across town. Meanwhile, I'd sold my car for treatment, 2018 Honda Civic, my first adult purchase. Borrowed $10,000 from my parents who refinanced their house. Maxed out credit cards for medications. Skipped meals to afford anti-nausea drugs while he was eating at restaurants I couldn't afford. Paid for with my tumor money. But the worst discovery was the group chat. Medical influencer mastermind. I can't make this up. Jake and 5 other people sharing tips on monetizing illness. Sophie's confusion is gold, he wrote. The more disabled she gets, the higher the engagement. Thinking of introducing a wheelchair soon for visual impact. Someone asked if I knew about the account. She can barely remember her name most days. No way she'll figure it out. Plus, I have medical power of attorney now. Another message. If she dies, I'll have content for years. Grief performs really well. Already planning the memorial video series. If she dies. Not when I die, which statistics suggest is likely within 15 months. If. Like he was hoping for it. Like my death was a business goal. He had a Pinterest board labeled Memorial Ideas with 247 pins. Here's the part that breaks me. He practiced crying. I found videos of him practicing his grief face in the bathroom mirror. Take 1. Finding out she's gone. Take 2. More tears. Take 3. Perfect devastation. I screenshot everything. Every email, every message, every spreadsheet. Sent them to myself, my parents, my lawyer, the FBI. Called my best friend, Emma. Real friend, not content friend. She drove over immediately, didn't film anything, just held me while I had a breakdown that, for once, wasn't monetized. Jake came home to an empty apartment and divorce papers. Yes, divorce papers. We weren't married, but he'd been telling everyone we were for sympathy. Another lie. Changed his relationship status to married after my diagnosis. The ring he showed people? $30 on cubic zirconia from Amazon. He'd return it after each photo shoot. Jake's response was to go live immediately. No hesitation. Crying perfectly. He'd practiced, remember? Saying I'd had a psychotic break, that the tumor made me paranoid, that I'd abandoned him after everything he'd sacrificed. She's not herself anymore. The Sophie I knew would never leave me. The tumor has changed her personality. The comments were brutal, toward me. Gold digger. Using him for care, then leaving. The tumor made her evil. Poor Jake, giving everything for love. I posted my own video, showing the receipts. His spreadsheets, bank statements, the group chat, the practice crying videos. But I was slurring from medication, scarred, bald, clearly sick. He was attractive, articulate, crying perfectly on camera with ring light hitting just right. Guess who they believed? The healthy, handsome man or the brain-damaged woman? He kept the GoFundMe money, all of it. Legally, it was in his name. The platform said since he was my caregiver, he had discretion over funds. Caregiver. He couldn't even remember my medication schedule. I had to set my own alarms while having memory issues. I moved back with my parents in Portland. They mortgaged their house for my treatment. Real treatment, not Instagram content. Found an oncologist who actually cared more about my survival than my story. No cameras allowed. Jake started dating another girl within a month. A yoga instructor with chronic Lyme disease. Her Instagram bio now says, managed by old Jake Photography. The cycle continues. He's already at 100K followers on her account, already selling her story. I tried to warn her. She blocked me. Said I was jealous, bitter, the crazy ex with brain damage. But here's the thing about glioblastoma. It clarifies what matters. I have maybe a year, maybe 2 if I'm lucky, maybe 6 months if I'm not. I could spend it bitter about Jake, or I could spend it warning others. Chose the second option. Started my own platform. Not for money, for awareness. No ads, no sponsors, no merch. Teaching people to recognize exploitation. Red flags when someone's more interested in documenting your illness than treating it. When they know your follower count better than your medication names. When they comfort the camera more than you. The tumor is growing again. Inoperable now, spreading into areas that control movement, speech, memory. Some days I can't remember this betrayal, and those are actually the good days. Ignorance is bliss when knowledge is pain. Emma, my real friend, helps me record these videos when I'm lucid. No monetization, no dramatic editing, no background music. Just truth. She holds my hand during seizures instead of holding a camera. Deletes the footage if she accidentally captures something. That's love. My parents don't understand social media, but they understand love. They've never once filmed me at my worst. They just hold me, remind me who I am when I forget, love me without an audience, without content strategy, without engagement metrics. The statistics say I have 6 to 12 months. Jake is probably planning his grief content already. I found out he bought the domain rememberingsophie.com last month. But I'm planning something better. Legal action. Turns out filming someone's medical procedures without consent, profiting from their illness without their knowledge, that's illegal. Multiple crimes, actually. My lawyer, working pro bono, says we have a case. Not just civil, criminal. Fraud, exploitation of a vulnerable adult, violation of medical privacy, identity theft. The FBI is investigating the entire medical influencer network. Turns out I'm not the only victim. Dozens of sick people exploited by partners, family members, friends. There's a whole economy built on our suffering. If I die before trial, my parents will continue. Every cent he made from my tumor will go to other brain cancer patients. Real patients, not content creators. We're setting up a foundation. No social media required. To Jake, who's definitely watching because you track every mention of your name with Google alerts. The tumor might kill me, but it didn't make me stupid. Every young woman with chronic illness you target from now on will get a warning about you. I've made sure of it. Database of predators, public records. Your name will be synonymous with exploitation. This is Sophie, or what's left of her. Some days I don't remember recording this. The tumor takes more each day. But I remember what matters. Love doesn't monetize suffering. Love doesn't practice crying. Love doesn't have a content strategy for your death. Thank you for listening without paying for it, without subscribing to my tragedy, without turning my dying brain into your entertainment. If you're sick and vulnerable, protect yourself. Document who has access to your medical information. Never let anyone film your treatments without written consent. Check if GoFundMes exist in your name. Google yourself regularly. To everyone else, please share this not for views, but for protection. Comment if you've experienced medical exploitation. Let's build a database of predators who prey on the sick. Subscribe only if you want updates on the legal case, not my decline. The trial matters more than my tragedy. Brain tumors are hell. But finding out your boyfriend was profiting from your hell, that's a special kind of evil that no tumor could create. I'm Sophie Martinez. I'm 26. I have months to live. And I'm using them to make sure Jake Thompson never profits from another person's pain. Watch your backs. Watch your medical records. And never ever trust someone who sees your suffering as content. Still alive, still fighting, just not for the cameras.